I've done a couple segments about Donald Trump's support in the African American community, and that although it's actually kind of bad, it's actually really good for a Republican, and it may have doubled since 2016. Tim Scott thinks it's going to hit around 15%, which isn't that magic 20% number. So I'll explain. They say that if a Republican can get 20% of the black vote, Democrat will never win again. Trump's at 15. Among black men, 24. So you combine that with his general incumbent advantage and a strong economy, and it looks like he's on a track for a good victory. But I got some more bad news for Democrats. This story from The Atlantic: Latino support for Trump is real. What? Wait a minute. And that's a problem for Democrats. Hey, wait a minute. I'm the guy who rags on Democrats every day. Okay? I'm supposed to be the biased guy who won't shut up about it. Oh, what's that? The media often runs these stories too. Why? Because it's true? You should have told me. Then when people started accusing me of being biased, I could just point to the fact that I always cite legitimate news sources. Anyway, I'm being kind of a dick. The point is, dude, we know it, man. I'm not sitting here ragging on Democrats because I don't like the word Democrat. It's because they're nuts. And it's because they're losing support across the board. Support for Trump among Latinos is up. Surprisingly, there's some stats showing among women it's up. I didn't believe that, but it's true. In the data we're looking at about black support for Donald Trump, support from black women is actually up. I don't know how he pulled that one off, but Trump did it. He's still got really, really low support among African-American women, but it's still up 50%. Man, he's done something, I guess. At least he got a little bit. Let's read the story from The Atlantic and see how this is real. President Donald Trump has done almost everything he can to anger Latino voters. And yet, his support among this crucial portion of the electorate remains surprisingly consistent. It's actually up. After the 2016 election, exit polls analyzed by the Pew Research Center showed that 28% of Latino voters supported Trump. Today, 30% support him. This percentage may not seem high, but consider what the numbers mean for the Democrats. Displeasure with the president over the past 3 years has not led to an increase in support for the opposing party. Democrats lost the 2016 election with about 66% of Latino votes. Today, 65% of registered Latino voters who are Democrats have a positive view of the party's presidential candidates. Based on exit polling from the past 3 election cycles, I estimate that the Democrats need about 70% of this vote to take back the White House. They're not going to get it. Having worked at the Congressional Hispanic Caucus during the Obama administration, I am firmly aware of the power of the Latino vote. And so I have been watching these numbers with alarm. When Democrats reach out to Latino voters, they are too focused on immigration and say too little about other issues these voters prioritize. If they want to win over enough Latino votes to retake the White House, Democrats must continue to fight for the immigrant community, but they must also offer a positive aspirational narrative that embraces Latinos as a vibrant part of America. Nah, they're buzz voters. Like they say immigration, right? That's what you want. That's what you get. What you realize, Latino voters are like humans who are concerned about the economy and healthcare too. It's really funny that they bring up immigration to Latino voters as if that's the only thing they care about or their principal cares. A lot of these people are born in America and lived in America for 100+ years and don't have big concerns about immigration, or actually might agree with Trump on immigration. But here's something interesting. This story from Politico. Could higher turnout actually help Trump? A new study challenges the idea that suppressing the vote hurts Democrats. Moody's Analytics said if Democrats want to win, they need maximum voter turnout. But here's what they find in this new study. As it turns out, the larger portion of non-voters who would vote for, so non-voters across the board are typically more likely to vote for Democrats, except where it matters. Swing states. Check out this chart. How would non-voters vote in 2020? The Knight Foundation asked non-voters if they would be more likely to vote to re-elect President Donald Trump, vote for the Democratic Party's nominee for president, or vote for someone else. Nationally, more said they'd vote for the Democrat. But in more battleground states, more non-voters preferred Donald Trump. What's interesting here is that this actually lends some pros and cons to the abolishment of the argument to get rid of the Electoral College. Because nationally, the Democrats stand to gain the most by activating non-voters. I don't think you would, though. I think that if you got rid of the Electoral College, You would activate non-voters in swing states, not your generalists who might just generally support the Democrats. Check this out. Right now, voter turnout with the electoral system is really, really good news for the Republicans. We can see that in Arizona, non-voters by 9 percentage points would support Trump. In Florida, by 5. In Georgia, they don't. It's pretty even in Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, Mississippi. Pennsylvania by 8 points. Virginia by 4. So if you actually get non-voters to come out, it just helps Trump win these states. So if all the Democrats are trying to activate non-voters and they succeed, it may actually backfire in their faces. The reason why I find this interesting alongside the Latino support for Trump is that with Trump making gains among minority voters, traditional voters, people who are likely voters, the Democrats would need to counter this by getting new voters. I don't Latinos or otherwise, or, African Americans or otherwise. But the point I'm saying is, if these people are already swinging for Trump and they're going up, seems like Democrats are losing that argument. The next bet they've made is that we need to get new voters to come onto the Democratic Party. So Trump is making these gains in minority communities. Democrats are losing them. Their hope, find someone who knows very little, tell them what's going on, get them to vote and vote for us. Nationally, it makes sense, but not where it will matter. I think Donald Trump is already poised to be the victor in November. That could be, I don't know. I could be wrong. I gotta admit, I'm fairly ambivalent. We'll see who the Democratic nominee is, but the part of me, I've been having this internal conundrum, I suppose, where it's like, I don't like that Donald Trump. I don't like Donald Trump, for the most part. But I'm not. I always say this, I'm not crazy. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I think he's funny. I think he's really funny. I think he's an excellent entertainer. I think he tells really great jokes. But I feel like the president should be something else. They should be this sign of, the best America can be. And that's why I really do think, for me, one of the biggest factors is whether or not they served in the armed forces. I really, really mean this. They're the commander in chief. It's very important. Now, I respect Donald Trump's business acumen, and that's where the conundrum comes in. While I wouldn't have wanted to choose someone like Trump, not my first choice, not at all. Who's going to get the nomination on the Democrat side? Literally none of them have started a business except for that crony Bloomberg guy. But that guy should not be even in the race or considered for the Democratic nomination. So I think right now, the best candidate I see is Pete Buttigieg. And boy, do I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, especially his interventionism stance. Kind of. I don't want to drag him too much, but the best they can do is a Buttigieg. He's kind of generic. He's got something going for him, though. He's a small town guy. He speaks to rural America, and he's a counter to Trump, and he's a good speaker. He absolutely is. And while conservatives try to, talk down and say, some of the things he said are bad or whatever, it's like, listen, man, he's a middle of the road dude, and he stands firm. He's got something going for him, but on a scale of 1 to 100, right? Everyone else on the debate stage is at like a 50, in terms of like the 100 being the best and 1 being nothing. They're like, okay, they're politicians. They're okay. Some of them are negative where I'm like, I just generally don't like them. Buttigieg is up there. Nowhere near as high as he would need to be the president as far as I'm concerned. His score, I give him a bad grade. Here's the conundrum. If you get a Buttigieg, never started a business, doesn't know how to facilitate trade. You get Bernie Sanders, that guy doesn't even know how economics works. What happens when they win? And there's the conundrum. It's like, man, I don't like Trump, but if Trump loses, is that going to risk the economy and the good things that are happening to so many Americans that are being lifted out of poverty right now? And the answer is probably yes. If Bernie Sanders gets elected, you better be ready for that hard recession. Look, under Obama, the economy was improving. Bush tanked it. Maybe not just. Maybe, I don't think it was entirely Bush's fault, but we had a lot of factors that played into the Bush administration. Look, he was in office when it happened, so he takes credit for it, right? It was bad. Obama takes over and things generally improve. And now you got a lot of people trying to give Obama credit for Trump's economy. That's not fair. So if Trump leaves and you get a Sanders, and Sanders has his whole campaign is about wealth. There's nothing about wealth generation. Bernie doesn't talk about his plan for prosperity. He talks about how to punish the billionaires. That's it. He's literally telling you that if he gets elected, you will see an economic net negative. That's bad news for everybody. And that's the big challenge. Should Trump win with all his faults simply because the economy would be good? Now, I'll tell you my hard stop. Sending troops to Saudi Arabia, sending weapons to Saudi Arabia, engaging in airstrikes in Yemen, a country we're not at war with. Recent airstrike in Afghanistan. Trust me, man, I follow this stuff. I don't just arbitrarily say I'm concerned about President Trump. I think Obama was horrifying. I think Trump has a long way to go. Trump might withdraw from Afghanistan. Man, that would be huge. So I've had a conversation with my friends and I said, I don't know. There's a couple of factors where people have asked me, would you ever vote for Trump? The answer is absolutely. I don't like the guy. He's not my first choice, but he's not that bad. I really don't like the guy. And I'll tell you what, if Mike Bloomberg is the nominee for the Democratic Party, that's pure evil. That is the Democrats selling their souls to the devil, a man who is so much worse than Trump in terms of his attitude, the things he says about women, the NDAs he has with them. Come on, man. You want to argue bad character for the White House? Trump's a saint compared to Bloomberg, and I mean it. He really is. Bloomberg is awful. The jokes, the quotes that are coming out, man, Warren tore him to shreds. Good for her. Bloomberg's awful. Bloomberg gets that nomination, and Trump withdraws from Afghanistan. I got to say, man, I think if he did that and then appointed Tulsi Gabbard as a national security advisor and Yang as economic, that'd be a begrudging yes. I'm like, oh man, it's the best we can get. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Obama promised me that he was going to take our troops out of the Middle East, and I believed him, and he didn't do it. He actually put more troops in. That was why I didn't vote for him a second time. I do not like this man, Donald Trump. I think as an entertainer, I really do like him actually. But as a president, his character is not what I expect from the office of the White House. And I understand. It's actually not a very strong argument. Not at all. It's a really good point to be made when I bring this up when they say character isn't as important as getting the job done. Absolutely. So Trump has gotten that economy done, and I respect that. But I think if there's a service member running, which Buttigieg is, I would prefer to see that. I won't make a choice between the two. I think the Democrats are corrupt. I'm over it. I don't want to make this video super long, but you get the point. Those are the things I think Trump would do that would have me be like, wow. But here's the bigger concern. Even if he did pull out of Afghanistan, even if Bloomberg wasn't, I got to be honest, Bloomberg being the Democratic nominee is like, that freaks me out. Everything they say about Trump and their fears about Trump, it's Bloomberg. So I'm like, you're yelling about Trump. I don't see it, dude. The guy's kind of funny. I get it. I don't think it should be in the White House, but Bloomberg? But then Trump's got the Saudi Arabia thing going on. So even if he does withdraw from Afghanistan, it's like, dude, I do not want to vote for someone who's going to send our troops to Saudi Arabia, supply them with weapons. That is a hard ethical stop for me, man. It is tough. Maybe you get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Podcast every day at 6:30. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you all next time.